Hey, attorneys, has anyone ever told you that you have a face for radio? I'm Anita Tallman over at Social Firestarter. Attorneys ask me all the time whether or not they should start a podcast. And I tell them, yeah, start a podcast for sure. There are so many different things you can do with podcasts. And as attorneys, you have so much good information that can be helpful to so many people. So I would definitely recommend attorneys starting podcasts. Now, attorneys then ask me, well, what am I going to talk about? Because most of the things that I talk about is quite boring. And I say, yeah, you're right. Most of the things that attorneys talk about is super boring. And I know that. I talk to attorneys all day long. But seriously, what you talk about, it could be boring, but you do have a challenge of being creative with what you want to discuss on a podcast. Because the way podcasts work is that you have to be anecdotal. You've got to be, enthusiastic. You've got to talk about things that people can relate to. So this is what I would do. First of all, start small. Don't make your podcast more than, I don't know, maybe like 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes at the longest. And then what I would do is take out a notebook and start writing down ideas of things that you want to talk about. And how do you come up with those ideas? Well, think about when you talk to a potential client. What are things that you say to that client that they leave your office saying, hey, wow, that was some great information. I didn't know that. And that's really helpful for me. Think about too, watch the news, think about stuff that's going on right now and how it's helpful to understand how the law relates to, current events. Because again, you can talk about the law without actually talking about the law. Talk about cases that are going on right now that are hitting the news that may not even be in your practice area. Okay. Because you want to come across, okay, with a podcast, you're doing what we internally call social brand building. You are building yourself up as an expert in a certain area, but you're also building up yourself as a brand of a go-to person. Someone that if you have a legal issue, that you're the person to talk to, even if it's outside of your practice area, because even if they contact you and they don't, you're not able to take them on as a client, maybe you can give them some advice. Maybe you can refer them to a colleague of yours, which brings up another thing. What's great about podcasts is that you can also bring other people on. You can interview other attorneys that are in a different practice area as you. You can interview people that aren't even attorneys. So again, you got to be creative. Start making a list of different topics you'd like to talk about. And you'd be amazed, like 10, 15 minutes, you can talk about because you have such subject matter expertise that you could actually talk about a certain law or something, a certain story for about 10 minutes. And before you know it, you've been talking for 15 minutes. The other thing is just Google out there and see about finding somebody that's going to help you with editing. There are a lot of people that's all they do. They help out with editing your actual podcast, and then they add other things like you want some maybe music in the background. You want to have maybe a branding to your podcast page. You want to make sure that's all set up. And again, there's people out there that can help you do that. So as an attorney, whether or not you think you have a face for radio or a face for TV, you should totally consider doing a podcast. If you have any questions, of course, always reach out. Otherwise, I hope this has been really helpful. Thanks.